Let's rock. What's going on,
Let's
Luca
rock.
Nation? We're recording this in the morning because I'm flying back stateside if customs permits it. So I'm coming back to the states. We got to record this early in the morning. I think it's gonna have a different vibe because normally we record in the afternoon. We get a ton of questions from our audience and all that stuff. But this is a huge week. It's such a busy week. We have amazing meetings with a ton of different partners and affiliates that we're working with. We're growing the page. But I want to start out with a topic that one of our listeners submitted to Cage, and I think it'll be relevant and helpful for a lot of people, especially in kind of uncertain times like we are living through right now in terms of market behavior. Cage, you
Yeah.
ready? How
Yeah,
you doing?
100%, man. I'm good. I am good. I got my soda. It's good. I've fallen so in love with soda that I now have you ever seen ice cube trays? Like I know
Love
you
ice
have an
cube
ice maker,
trays.
but so I now pour my soda into the ice cube trays and make soda ice cubes so that my soda is cold and not watered down. I am a lunatic.
What if
Just
you?
letting
What
you
if
know.
it spills in the freezer and then your whole freezer
Oh,
gets
that would be
sticky?
bad. I pour it outside of the freezer and then move it in, and I do it very delicately. Exactly. I don't have shaky hands like that. No,
I
no,
have
no,
really
no,
shaky hands.
no, not me. But that's it. So now I get cold soda. It's not watered down. It's nice. It's a nice little trick.
All right. Well, we got a few quick topics. I'm going to ask Cage where he thinks Devin Booker ranks in the NBA. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about the crypto sell off. But to start, we have two big topics that we want to talk about content in the hobby. But
Hmm.
first, you got a text from one of
Yes.
our community members about average return in the past
Yes.
before
Yes.
2020.
100%. So basically, the question kind of goes like this. Hey, with the market being the way it is the last 18 months, 24, up and then down and the whole deal, what was it like before that craziness? Like what were my, I think the way the question was asked was, what is a typical average annual return for this asset class? I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but the typical average annual return was part of the question. And it's a very valid question. There, there it's not just us, right? A lot of folks have been talking about diversifying your portfolio, and people have come out and how this is an alternate asset class, and everyone from Gary Vee to everyone is saying, oh yeah, you can have sports cards. It's the same. It's cryptocurrency. It's stocks. It's this. It's that. It's a portfolio. We're building platforms to trade these things. They're liquid. They're stocks, right? So it's fair then, I guess, to ask, all right, if we're not talking about going 10x and we're not talking about losing 50%, when stuff calms down and dust settles, what's the, what should I be expecting? What kind of return should I be looking for year over year? Should I be looking for 20%? Should I be looking for that? And my response, probably not the most welcome response to this individual, was there's no real guidance there. I mean, there are 5, 10 year periods where cards didn't go up or down. You know what I mean? Like I've seen booms, I've seen busts, I've seen boom periods in the '80s and busts for junk wax thereafter when it was mass produced. I've seen the same thing happen, in the '90s as well, and then 2003 there was a huge period as well. Obviously, when
So, what you were seeing, Cage, was it like a big boom like we saw in 2020 and then flat? Boom,
yeah,
bust,
so
flat, boom, bust,
yes, so
flat.
pretty much, right? So, and that's what happens. But I will also say this, just a caveat: never in my life, and I'm old, have I seen a boom period quite like the boom we just had, right? The massive influx of cash, the massive influx of people doing it, the content creators, the vendors, the businesses that are on it, just the amount of attention that's paid to it. I mean, there were news, and maybe that's the internet, being bigger this time. I mean, I remember there are news articles. I remember reading about the Gretzky. Honus Wagner when it was purchased. Like, oh, a huge card. He buys this Honus Wagner card, blah, blah, blah. I remember a huge, news article about that. I remember Charlie Sheen owned one also. I remember like the, news articles top. So yeah, so when Rob G buys the 52 mantle, sure, like those, that's always been there. Those kind of, stories have always been there. But the massive influx and the huge boom of the entire space, there have been booms, but nothing like what we had. And yeah, the point that I was trying to make in response was it's a difficult question to answer because, yeah, there are booms and there are busts. And then there are, I'm telling you, the periods could be a decade of nothing, literally nothing. And I mean, was it Nat Turner who we had on? Was it Spinatron? I mean, somebody mentioned this about the LeBron exquisite auto, the one that's now a 7-figure card. And they were saying, I forget who it was who owned it, right? And they said, look, I remember buying this card for, I think they said $10,000, and it sat for 5-10 years and it was still the same price. Like it wasn't worth $1,000,000. It wasn't appreciating over time. There weren't charts that he could say to his family, yeah, I paid 10 grand for this, but don't worry, it's worth 12 now, it's worth 15 now, it's worth 7, it's gone up 20% per year. There was no slab stocks out there with Slab Stock Pro making a chart. There was no card ladder to track it, that stuff. So my answer was, it really is touch and go. Right? I can't tell you what the average return on this stuff can be, because in the times where this has happened before, in the years after, sometimes it's flat, sometimes there's nothing. I think if you track, people have been trying to do this for a while. PWCC had kind of like their index even before this major card boom, where it was specific cards, a Mantle, a Hank Aaron. It was like, the kind of like StarStock has their index now, but this was like, vintage cards, top cards, and it would show just over time what a portfolio. And I've seen articles like that in Forbes and in Wall Street Journal 5 years ago, 10 years ago, where it's like tracking a portfolio of assets, mostly vintage, cards that you would identify, you'd know what they are. And it was like, okay, the S&P was doing, over a 10-year period, the S&P went up 100% and cards went up 112%. That stuff's been tracked. There has not really been a tracker of modern base cards, modern silver cards, Panini Prism cards over a period of time, just because they haven't even existed. You know what I mean? So it's a very difficult question. I know everybody wants that. Everybody wants to be able to say, okay, I'm 10x on this, I'm down 50%. As we get to like a calm space, and the sneaker flippers are gone, and the Target guys are gone, and blah blah. And we have just the collectors / investors who are in the hobby, that middle ground. Should I be looking for a 20% return per year? Should I be looking for this? People want that, and I wish I could give an answer. I just I can't.
In 2003, do you remember, other than LeBron, obviously a huge draft class, what caused the boom? Were there no new people entering the hobby? Is it that whenever there's a big draft class in the NBA, people enter the hobby?
Yes. I mean, it's not just NBA, right? But yes, in 2003, I remember I was working. I was at a law school for a couple of years. I was working downtown, and I remember lunch hour. There was a card store on Maiden Lane, a couple blocks from the stock exchange. And I remember walking down there with a bunch of other lawyers, and the card store every lunch hour was completely full of stockbrokers trying to rip packs of LeBrons, getting LeBrons out of there, selling but top specs. It happened again in 2009-10 when Steven Strasburg when his first Bowman card came out. It was huge. People were ripping. There were redemption cards, 6-figure sales on eBay for Strasburg autograph cards from Bowman, from his first, the first Bowman. So yeah, it really is. It's driven by that lottery ticket chase, and you could talk about whether it's, Zion might have been part of that. Luka, turning into that after the fact. I think Zion was huge. If you think about it, people were opening boxes of Bowman in my law firm because they were reading about this $100,000 sale of Strasburg. You should get one too. It's out of 5. As soon as National Treasures came out last year, remember there was a $500,000 bounty placed on the Zion logo man, blowout cards. It's sort of that same type of like lotto ticket treasure hunting euphoria that comes out. With these cards, and maybe you lose some of that steam when you don't have that. I don't know what a LaMelo logo man, so I'm sure it's still plenty of money, but it's not Zion.
It wasn't the most exciting draft class. You didn't have Zion highlights all the time, and it's not just one guy that carries a class either. It's usually 2 or 3.
But listen, if Wander Franco comes out and does what he's supposed to do, he's supposed to make his debut tonight, and we can talk about him a little bit also if you like. If he comes out and really does what he's capable of doing, people might run to try to get his first Bowman autos. People already are in anticipation. That card's selling for basically his first Bowman auto is like the refractor is like $6,000-$7,000 already.
If you were holding some of his low to mid end cards, his base to maybe like Wander, he's not even in the tops, right? He's going to be in the tops update.
Right, maybe if Topps wants to. Listen, Topps makes business decisions all the time, and they may actually hold him over like they did with Yordan Alvarez, like they did with Joe Adele. They may hold him over to next year's Series 1 to get people to buy Series 1. You never know. They'll do a number crunching. He could be an update. He might not be. He might be like an SP an update. Remember, they did those prospects and updates for Joe Adell last year, and Wanda was actually in that. You never know what they're gonna do. I would hope he's an update, and that would be huge if he's good. To answer your question, if I had his stuff now, I'd be selling every bit of it. I don't own it because I already sold it. And you don't have to look too far. Jared Kelenic, the guy who we talked about, who's great. He came up, he hit a home run, you name it. He's been in a little bit of a slump. If you just type his name into like Twitter or whatever it is on the autofill from Google will be Jared Kelenic bust. Guy's had like 50 something bats or so, whatever, you know what I mean? But his cards have tanked because that's the thing, right? You have to be perfect. You have to have that momentum. And for Juan DeFranco to keep the momentum going, he's got to come out today and hit 3 home runs. You know, if he comes out there and goes over 4, the prices are going to come down, which is amazing. You know, they'll give him a day or 2, but if he doesn't come out and like hit the ground running and become the next Mickey Mantle, it's very difficult to justify the prices.
It's hard. Like with baseball, it's in the heat of summer right now. You know what I mean? So I was going to ask you, can you give us a 60-second update on baseball? But it's in the middle of the season. I'm looking at the standings. I mean, like if you look at it, the Rays, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, they're all within striking distance of each other. It's that way every single year. So I think
it's like watching a basketball game for the first 3 quarters. It doesn't matter because somebody's gonna make a run, and the last 2 minutes are all that makes a difference anyway. In 90% of the games, it's sort of the same thing. It's a long season, just like these basketball games are long games. The only drama is in there. Starting yesterday, they banned all like sticky stuff, for the pitchers. And now you're never going to know who was using it, who wasn't. I just assume everybody was. But like I watched the Padres game last night, and Urias, he gave up 4 runs before an out, and you could see he was visibly frustrated on the mound, losing control of his pitches and stuff like that. And it's a televised game, and of course, people are now the first thing they're talking about is, well, he must have been using the sticky stuff because now he can't use it, and now he has no control over the pitches. I mean, these guys are all cheaters. And then
they're not cheaters. I think your hands get sweaty, right?
I'm with you, dude.
Logically, your hands get sweaty.
I'm just saying that's what happens. I mean, people.
I don't even watch baseball. That's where my brain goes.
But keep in mind now, right? So you don't watch baseball. Like, so I had the game on. My wife was here watching the background, and all she hears now is, "Oh, he doesn't have control, sticky stuff." And she's like, "Why do we watch this?" Like every year, it's something else. She goes, "Is this as bad as the Houston trash cans? Like bangers? She's like, it's like, why does anybody watch baseball? Like every year, there's some other drama, there's some other story. That's what I mean. She's not exactly a fan, but that's what people hear. I don't know why baseball can't get out of their own way. It's like they bring it on themselves. It's so weird.
Okay, moving on. So let's talk a little bit about the content creators in the hobby. I was thinking last night how truly lucky we are. We kind of backed our way into doing an episode every day. And when you agree to something, when you make a commitment to yourself, you don't want to go back on it. Yep. So this has been kind of a blessing in disguise that we hop on here every day. And we get to ride out all of the cycles with the community in real time, right? We don't get to shy away from the light. We don't get to be like, today, we don't have it. So we'll see you guys in 4 weeks. What's the comment you got about less content creators in the hobby?
So I have people coming on basically, sending us messages saying, thanks for you guys always being there. It's great to be able to count on you, that kind of stuff. And that they're noticing that some of the other folks that they were listening to previously or that they saw pop up and do a couple episodes are not here anymore. And I guess when the going's good, the going's good for everybody. When the going's bad, a lot of people disappear is sort of the commentary we got, right? When we said when the going gets tough, the tough get going was what I always heard, right? And you're right. I mean, there are days where I would love to hide. There are days when like, damn, I hope nobody jumped into Ethereum with me when I did a couple of days ago. Remember, I mentioned that. I happened to sell something on Top Shot and, got paid in Ethereum. And I'm like, all right, maybe it's time to get in. I'll buy a CryptoPunk. I'll do something like that. And I've started to like lever into Ethereum at exactly the wrong time. If I were doing an Ethereum podcast today, or a crypto podcast, I sure would love to run and hide, but we can't, I mean, the market's down here too. There are probably some plays that were made that just have been swept up in the tide. What people would say is the fundamentals behind the pick or the play were accurate, but the whole market is down. It's very difficult to do that. And, when you have people who started in the last couple months and their basis is picks, and we give picks and we love to give picks. And obviously that's It's part of what we do. Hopefully you're here for the picks and the banter and the humor and Andrew's good looks and all the other stuff that we bring to the table. Some hobby knowledge, some background, some stuff that you're not going to hear anywhere else. But, if you are basing your thing on, hey, I'm going to make a pick, I'm going to make a play, I'm going to make you money, it's been real tough sledding for the last couple of months. And, a lot of people disappear, and that's what happens. Whereas us, this is episode 350.
It is.
Right. This is 350 of these, and we're not even at a year yet, right? So one a day. We will hit more than 365 in a year because there were several days where we did double duty. We did the extra episodes and whatnot. So we're not going anywhere.
I think you have to have a long-term perspective in life.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I think you have to play like the game's coming to an end in a minute. Like, you have to have that urgency while also understanding that there's a big picture in mind. And I think a lot of these conversations that I've had even in the last month, where I'm learning, I've never been through these card cycles, right?
Yep.
They're going to benefit me in 10 years. They're going to benefit me in 4 years, 7. But you don't know if you just go run and hide when things are just difficult. You're going to create that habit for yourself.
Well, this is part of it also, right? I mean, like people, I've been talking about this now for a month or two, like in the NFT and crypto space. People just jump from one thing to the next. And in the last year, no matter what they jumped to was profitable. You know what I mean? You jumped off of Top Shot into a Z Horse. You jumped off of Z Horses into the Bored Ape Yacht Club. You jump off of that into, Pickles or whatever it is. But there'll come a time where somebody's not making money in that. Somebody got into Top Shot too late. Somebody got into the CryptoPunks after the fact. Somebody got into the Z Horses when it's not going to be making as much money. Or you're going to ape into something else and it's not going to be profitable. Somebody bought. I mean, look, the Gary V friends. They may be worth more Ethereum now, but maybe worth less money. Just because the day those dropped, Ethereum was like $4,000, right? And it's like 1,700 this morning. So even if the value of it stayed one Ethereum, you've lost 60% of the value in that. Now I haven't looked at those, but it's difficult when you're jumping from thing to thing and not making money. Instead, you're jumping from thing to thing and losing money. This is when people leave. That's when you lose people. You lose people in the market. And especially if those people were in it just for a quick flip. You know what I mean?
I urge people, and this is fascinating to me. So, can we use Dogecoin just because it's the funniest example?
Yeah.
Let's say at Dogecoin, I was a believer in Dogecoin at 50 or 60 cents, right before that SNL skit.
Yep.
Aren't you more of a believer in Dogecoin at 15 cents? Because now you could buy 3x the amount of Doge that you could have just a month ago. So, but there's a nuance there. It's only if you understand the asset, right?
Yep.
If you're not chasing returns and you understand the asset, this is a great time to bargain buy. And I'm curious why people don't see that also. I think there's two things to realize. If your investment capital comes from profit, it becomes really hard, right? Because you need to make money to reinvest. And the market has to be going up also. But if you have cash flow, remember, like I said, go to yard sale or go sell card supplies or find ways to make. If you have cash flow, now you could discount buy. Now you could buy LeBron James Topps Chrome. That was a $40,000 card. You could buy it for 15, 13, and you could buy three of them. So it's funny in the markets. It's the only place where people don't like sales. They don't like discounts. I can't hear you. Cage had to run. I hope he jumps back on. That would mean a lot to me if he does. But I'll just get right into my play, and maybe we'll just do one play today. It was from the episode that we had P. Ryan on. And this is a market I know as well as I could know any market, and it's the Kobe rookie market. I probably subbed close to 100 Kobe cards, maybe a little bit less. But the point is, they were all newly graded. And I think PSA got a ton of Kobe cards last year. And as a result, Cage, I'm giving my play. It's
I heard.
Cool. And the Kobe market, the Kobe rookie market is the one I know. And it kind of comes from the P. Ryan episode. He shed some light onto something, and I've believed this for a long time, that PSA 8s and 9s of Kobe rookies are completely undergraded. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. And I'll give you an example. The Fleer 52 PSA 9 Kobe Ultra. I've given you this play before. This card got up to $500. Now it's about $270. The PSA 8 version is $180 to $200. So I would look at those. I would look at those cards because there's first off, there's not a ton of them graded in high grades. There's only 250 PSA 10s. There's only about 250 PSA 10s and maybe less than 1,000 PSA 9s. So you're able to scoop up my favorite Kobe rookie card, one of the best images on it too. I love the look of it for 50% of what it was. And I think in a year or two, you're going to be able to regrade that card. And some of the 8s might come back 9s. Some of the 9s might come back 10s. Just from my own personal experience, while also watching the market behavior, you don't have to rush. I think you could kind of pick these out. You could find them from the right buyer. You could make sure that this is truly a good PSA 9 that I'm buying. It's a new label. It's maybe the 50 serial number. That would be my play. PSA 8 and 9 of the Fleer Ultra Kobe 52 with the vision or the outlook in a year or two. Maybe you try to bump those or regrade them.
I like it. We talked about that with P. Ryan. It's a cool thought because of the 8s really are not 8s. These are 8s that would have been 9s, and some of them might even gotten 10s. So I'll do mine real quick, guys, and we'll let you go. But before I drop my play here, have fun with it. If you're not having fun, message us. We'll we'll tell you a joke and make sure you still have fun. But I mean, listen, pick a sport you like. If you're not a hockey guy, stop trying to jump into hockey. If somebody convinced you to jump into F1, it's okay to take a small loss on F1 and move your money into something you enjoy. If you're a football guy, move your stuff into football now because you'll be able to enjoy watching and you probably know it better and probably do better. This is a time where a little bit of more education in this stuff is probably going to help you a little bit. Andrew knows crypto. I don't. That's why I'm losing money in it. Why he wouldn't have and why he told me it's all going to drop. So it's just one of those things, right? Sometimes when everything's good, you can spread yourself a little thin. Now when the market is kind of, retracing a bit, it's time for you to take advantage of your own expertise, right? So with that,
real quick on the crypto, I didn't tell necessarily Cage that I knew it would drop, right? Because none of us are fortune tellers. If we were, we would be billionaires. I think when you study a market, market sentiment. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
You kind of feel the pulse of it, and when there's good behavior that might trend prices up. And I just feel in the crypto market, there's a lot of selling sentiment. Sure. A lot of people. So I just wanted to be clear because I'm not a predictor.
So you ready? I'll predict. I'm going to predict somebody who's going to be a breakout star this year. And, there are a lot of reasons to think that he is going to be great and a lot of reasons to think, okay, maybe not. And probably those maybe not are the reasons why his prices haven't gone up yet. I was a big Gardner Minshew guy in years past, right? And I was a big DJ Chark fan, with the caveat that he has to stay healthy and he hasn't been able to. But because of those two guys, I watched the Jaguars a lot last year, and I know they throw the ball. Kind of like your Justin Jefferson play of, this guy's great, and they're going to be throwing. Jaguars are going to be throwing. But here's what's funny. They are now going to be throwing it with Trevor Lawrence, the number one pick of the NFL draft, instead of Gardner Minshew, who love the guy, love the mustache, not going to ever be confused with Trevor Lawrence. They also drafted Travis Etienne, the running back. So they're going to have, they did. They got them both. So they're gonna have, a decent running back. They already had James Robinson, was really good, but they're gonna have, people who are gonna have to stay honest to the run. They're not gonna be able to just double cover all the receivers. They're gonna have to pay attention to the run and a decent quarterback. And they added Marvin Jones Jr. as a veteran, go across the middle, you name it, a wide receiver. So my play here is somebody who is going to get the ball thrown to him a lot, is going to learn from that veteran wide receiver presence. He's going to be able to stay on the field, I think. He's got a better quarterback throwing him the ball, and he was awesome last year and showed real signs of greatness. It's Laviska Shenault, not DJ Chark, right? So Shenault, number 10, check him out. Guy's got Julio Jones type of build, Julio Jones type of upside. They hand the ball off to him. He's that fast. He's that kind of a slash runner. And I saw one play last year. I was watching a game. You check it out. It's probably like a highlight video on YouTube. I'm sure this made it where it's like, all right, they hand the ball off and Robinson puts his shoulder down and hits the defender. Oh, wait, that's Shenault. I mean, that's a wide receiver, delivering a blow, sort of the way that Irving Fryer told us, You can stay in the league longer if you're the one giving out the punishment instead of taking it, right? So guy runs every kind of pattern. He's a deep threat. He goes across the middle. He scored a bunch of touchdowns, had a bunch of catches last year, 60-something catches, 6 or 8 touchdowns, a bunch of yards, stayed on the field the whole time, was really coming into his own at the end of the season. And I think if you if you add in all the good stuff, new quarterback, new running back, better team overall, better offensive line overall, Marvin Jones' presence teaching him how to play the game, run the routes, you name it. Second-year player, those second-year players, they often have breakouts. The kid was really good last year. I think by the end of the season, he was their number one wide receiver over Chark. He had more catches. He had more touchdowns. He was making the better plays. No one's heard of him. He was a Prism rookie last year. The last couple Prism base rookies of his sold on eBay for like $1.99, $1.86, $2. These are exactly the kind of plays we got to bring to you when things are lean. Because this is a guy who, if you can, buy a bunch of them on eBay, right? I'm not buying them, guys. I'm going to tell you right now because I want you to buy them. People give plays. I want you to know that I believe in this play. I 100% do, but I also don't want to be competing with you guys, so I want to make that very, very clear. I will not own one of these unless I get them in a pack that I open up with Ian and like a Prism Blaster or something. But I'm not bulk buying these. I want this to be a reward to the first people who download these episodes and hear this, first couple hundred of you in the first hour. This could be a race to eBay because Star Stock A's, they're at like $750, I think, the last one that sold. Star Stock B's are a little cheaper. But you get on eBay, these are not ones that people probably went through. This is not a card people went and sent into to PSA. So you could probably get a decent amount of good quality ones on eBay, buying them raw. That's my play. I think he's going to be a breakout star. I think when we start to see like fantasy magazines come out for football this year, you're going to see him on those lists of like potential sleepers, potential breakout stars. And he has been healthy. He stayed on the field last year. And I think, with the way the NFL's going, where they have these slash type wide receivers who run the ball, who go across the middle, who they use them for multiple purposes, he's exactly that kind of guy. He's flashy. He's going to make headlines. You're going to see him on ESPN, and you're going to be happy you bought his card for $2. There you go.
Conrad just posted something hilarious. He said, start bench cut. Do you want to guess the 3 players, or you want me to tell you?
No, tell me. Because I got it wrong.
Christoph Porzingis, Ben Simmons, Julius Randle.
Yeah, let's see what people do. You got to start one of them.
Julius Randle clearly head and shoulders above the other two.
Randle gets started. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.